Welcome to the podcast series on technology and innovation in coaching, brought to you by the Association for Coaching, the world's leading independent body. I am Claudia, coach and entrepreneur and founder of eHuddle. In this AC podcast series, we are privileged to talk to coaches, academics, and entrepreneurs who will be sharing with us some of their research, findings, and experiences related to technologies that could help us democratize coaching, elevate the coaching practice, lower cost, or save time, among other benefits. This is a very broad topic, going from how technologies can support a coach or carry out a coaching process. We hope this series brings technology closer to coaches. Enjoy listening. Welcome to Rebecca Rutschmann. It is great to have you with us. Rebecca is the co-founder, co-CEO, and chief product officer of Evoach, a web-based self-coaching chatbot application. Rebecca, I will let you tell us more about yourself.
Hi, Claudia. Nice to be here today. Yes, like you mentioned, I'm the co-founder of Evoach. And my background is I'm a business coach, but a former communication specialist as well. And I started my coaching degree about 15 years ago. And it always fascinated me to combine technology with coaching. I always worked in the IT industry. And I built up some leadership programs for Nero back then, Nero Burning Room, if some of you still remember. And I was always completely fascinated about what coaching can really do, for leadership and employees. And working in the tech industry, I always thought there has to be some combination of it. So I always looked into virtual coaching, it was called back then in the days. Mm-hmm. And then finally finished my coaching degrees after a longer time of pause with my two children on virtual self-coaching, so online self-coaching. And then we had the idea of we need to bring this to a broader market, and how can we actually use just self-coaching in a digital way to make it more accessible for people. And that's why we founded Evoach in 2019. And here we go. So we have our first coaching chatbot up and running with several use cases now, where people can really work on coaching subjects like solving conflicts or coping with stress and overload. Or so we're kind of topic oriented, and we go through complete coaching processes within those topics that lead you really from the situation description in the beginning up to the solution finding and setting your to-dos for the next couple of weeks and how you want to proceed.
Nice. That's great foresight on your side. For the listeners, I had a play with Evoach, and it was great because I was one night, a Sunday, 10 o'clock at night, trying to make decisions for the week. And there I was. And then suddenly I remembered of Evoach, and I was like, oh my God, I go in and just went through one of the modules, and it helped me to make my decisions for the week. So I experienced a bit of that self-coaching and loved it. So on that note, can you tell us a bit of how you feel that technology can be used in coaching?
Technology itself is a very wide field. The market is constantly growing. I mean, most of people have, really looked up into what BetterUp or CoachUp, and the digital coaching platform market is really on the rise since about 3-4 years. It's really getting bigger and bigger, and they're getting a lot of investments in. But on the other side, there are also those that actually provide the coach more with infrastructure, are helping or supporting them with their infrastructure. It's so diverse, and there are more coaching startups popping up, technology startups popping up probably every week at the moment. A lot of the coaches are using something like Kajabi now to do their online video courses, or Nudge or Blinkit, or you name it. There are lots of different options to use technology, even Miro boards or Zoom is already a technology that most people used, that really support them in their day-to-day work. So it's quite a big field. There are very, very little at the moment still in our field where it comes to AI and chatbots, and specifically in the coaching domain itself. So that's still really growing or is still very little, but it's becoming bigger as well. So yeah, it's a bright field where coaches can really play around with different technologies.
Yeah. For many of the coaches, AI is something completely new to them. And so I guess for our listeners, how would you explain if there were some coaches that were frozen in time and they just woke up to 2021 and are looking at AI technologies, how would you explain it to them?
The funny thing is that these AI algorithms exist already for more than 30 years. So even if they've been like frozen in time, they probably know a little bit about the beginnings of like Eliza, like one of the first chatbots really that you could actually talk with. It was in the 60s. So it's quite a long time ago. I probably would tell them that due to the fact that we now have this amazing computer power, that we can finally really use AI, and we have the possibility of also collecting a lot of data. And the question is, in the end, is like, how can we use it for the good of our clients? I'm trying to find a way to explain. I'm really struggling here what I would explain them, to be honest, because it has so many different use cases in the end. Like, for example, BetterUp and CoachHub, they use it for like their matching algorithms to actually like find a good match between coach and clients. We are mainly using AI to improve, let's say, the chatbot experience. We call it more like enriching it with AI where it makes sense. So it has very like many different use cases. What it's really good at is really like sorting and analyzing data inputs and making great recommendations on like possible paths to take. Maybe that's a good explanation.
So basically, you're feeding the data. You've trained the chatbot with data, and then the chatbot is making decisions to help the client.
We're not yet training it, to be honest. Like we're still working with a lot of decision trees because there is no training data yet. That's the crux of an AI. To have a great AI, you need a lot of data sets to actually train the AI on. And that's what's actually like the main point in the market at the moment, that most players in the market, they're still in the collecting phase where they try to get first results from the data that they have, but they still have to learn. Like AI systems need to learn, over time, according to high quality data. So we have to make sure that we put in good quality, unbiased data, make sure that the results are good, that are coming out and very helpful to the coachee and to the whole experience. So this is like, we're still like in the, let's say, toddler stage here.
Yeah. So basically, when you're talking about collecting the data, would it be users who volunteer for giving you data? So where's the data basically coming from?
Yes. I mean, like we personally would never collect any data without letting the users know. There are different other initiatives out on the market, for example, on how to collect data. So there are different approaches in the market. I know that one of the bigger DCPs, they do actually try to do transcripts of coaching sessions, of video sessions. And I would really highly recommend that people also read the small imprints in what they're sending out as a way of also collecting data and learning from this data. There are like different approaches on how to do this. But yeah, it's always a very, very ethically problematic topic. But yeah, you should always be as transparent as you can when you start collecting data.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about the small prints and all of that, basically that takes me to the question of how do you know when to trust one of these technologies?
Like I just said, like you really should look out for like how they're actually dealing with data and if they're transparent enough and give you enough information upfront on it. Also, what kind of data does get stored, and do they anonymize it, the data, with the user consent, of course? How they actually, if they do have if they comply with ethics from like coaching associations like yours, like the ICF and others, if they're maybe even cooperation partner or comply with the standards. So these are all the things that you can really like check out for when you look at a tech provider.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that sounds like a sensible thing to do, or a starting point. As you say, there's definitely a lot to progress on that area. So taking you back a little bit in the conversation of when basically how AI and technology can help coaches. What else can you tell us about this topic?
I mean, you can make use like in different ways, I already said. But what's really going to happen in the end in a couple of years is that AI will help us to better like understand things sometimes and make recommendations or give you more in-depth ideas on what it did analyze. And like with the doctors, for example, what they use AI for is a lot like data analysis in the background, like spotting cancer cells in pictures and giving like the doctor kind of like an analysis on what what they did find out, and then the doctor will decide on which or how he will treat the patient according to his personal relationship and what he knows about the patient personally as well. So it's taking away a lot of like the usual like routines and like in-depth analysis and stuff like that, and really concentrate more on the human being in the end.
Yeah. So as a support to the coaches, helping them
Yeah.
in their practice. So that's good to hear. Maybe we can expand more of that. Many coaches are afraid of AI taking over their jobs.
Yeah, but like for example, I mean, like we've been doing a couple of webinars and like talks lately on how like what we are doing and what other things can do as well, or what other solutions can do as well, is like as a coach, you also have a lot like routine questions that you ask, especially like in the beginning of a coaching. They're usually like the 10 first questions that you ask your coach, like your clients, your coachee. Usually mostly the same, or a lot of coaches are sending out emails to their clients with some first questions or to fill in a wheel of life or like any another coaching tool. So I had to do a little bit of self-reflection before the first session. And this can be easily substituted, for example, with a coaching chatbot that goes with you through these steps. And you can actually then enter your first coaching session prepared with like the topic you want to talk about, with a little bit of self-reflection beforehand and filling a couple of like more administration things out for the coach in the beginning. So there are a lot of things that if you think about it as a coach, that you repeatedly ask, or that are just like things that you would like to maybe substitute to then fully concentrate on your client when your client is, spending the time with you and trying to get the most out of the session with the client.
Yeah, so getting all that analysis from before and giving that data to the coach, and then the coach using it during the first coaching session, basically.
Yeah, and like most people, they're afraid that I could substitute a coach within the next couple of years. I know that we're going to have a session also with Nikki and Adina very soon. And if you talk to most people that work with AI in the market, coaches will not be replaced, at least not in our lifetime, by AI, because it needs a very specific approach to solve like coaching with an AI. So you could maybe do like one subject and it can only do like one specific task. But as a coach, you have such a big variety of different coaching tools and approaches and different questions you ask. And coaches go in so many different areas of like a need for coaching, like coaching topics, that an AI could simply not handle that at all.
Yeah. So for those coaches that had some fear about being replaced, and now with that outlook, they can dream of what they would like an AI to help them with. How do you suggest they go about it in this exploration, this experimentation?
I think at the moment, the most important thing is that you're just aware what's happening in the market, that you do get some information on what things will be coming in the future, and check what kind of like technology maybe suits you at the moment the best, and the way you work with coaching. There's so many different ways of coach, and some require, like being really personally there or having the client, like close by, and it would be very hard to do it in a self-coaching process, while others really like to work in a hybrid way. So it's really just to be informed and check what's going on there, try out different things, be curious like we usually all are, and just play around with things. And yeah, we have to adapt. I mean, like it's it's a thing that we always have to do as human beings, like adapt to the changes in society. And I think that coaching is going to become a lot more popular, a lot more accessible for so many people worldwide, also through technology, but also opening up such a big market in the future for coaching all kinds, like of industries and, like for individuals. And I think it's such a great tool to use for everybody, not just for like leadership and for like people that can actually pay for it at the moment, but it will also trigger even a bigger need in the market as well.
Yeah, it sounds like you're going there to what they call the famous democratizing coaching and making it more accessible to everybody. You mentioned about reading and keeping updated. Can you share with us how you do this? So in order for other coaches to basically get ideas on what is the best way, where are the best places to look for information?
I mean, of course, like I'm a lot more technical oriented, so I go a lot on Google Scholars and look what the latest research is. Just like reading books, just like trying out different softwares and technologies and playing around with it. Like, for example, I love Wiser, like the therapy chatbots that are out in the market, like Woobot and Wiser. They give you a great idea what's going to happen also in the coaching like area, because I think coaches will have to adapt a technology like this as well. And they're cute little therapy chatbots that you can talk to that are always like combined with like calling a therapist if you need further help, but they give like first aid kind of like help, and they're quite neat. And like I just love to play around with different things. I read a lot of books at the moment. I read The Secret Life of Pronouns, because of course, like when you work with a chatbot, it's necessary that you keep up with your semantic and know how to analyze text and voice and all that. But there are a lot of like even YouTube webinars on AI out there that are like really good if you're interested in it, to get a general idea on what AI exactly is and how it works. And we recorded a couple of special podcast sessions to explain, but they're in German, unfortunately, so far. But maybe we should record some English ones as well on how AI works, and especially in the coaching industry.
Yeah, that would be great. You can probably send it to us after you do it, and we can put it in the resources of the podcast.
It's like coaching. No, you just have to try it out and practice and play around with things, and just never be afraid of it. Yeah, I always try to teach technology to my mother-in-law. And the cool thing is, okay, yes, she is a lot older, but she's just curious. So she is learning a lot of things, and because she's always open-minded and digging into new stuff, and it takes her a little bit longer sometimes, but I'm always amazed, like by all people that stay curious and just try different things out. And we have to start somewhere.
Yeah. And we have that innate thing of coaches that we're curious. So just going with that, that's a good one. So those Evoach have something where people can go and play around with it, or how would you recommend the coaches to go about Evoach?
I mean, we do give out demo versions or links where people can just like try out what we're doing, and just it's also available in English. We are bilingual German English. The English is not always like at the same level at the moment as the German is, but we translate everything, and sometimes the English is like one step behind until we got it like translated properly. But DeepL technology is also amazing, as most of you probably know, because we just did like a little poll where a lot of coaches apparently use DeepL, and it's pretty good. So we translate most of the stuff with DeepL and then go through it ourselves and before we release it. But yeah, that's how people can try it out, or they can get like a little demo with Anke here, and that she usually shows people and like what we do and how they can actually apply it in their business.
So basically, from what you mentioned, it was looking at those things that are more automated, and also maybe translating those into one of these softwares. Would Evoach help with that as well?
Yes, we do that as well. Like especially like the beginning, like we call it the before the coaching session, like the onboarding of like new clients, but also like for like in between sessions, so people you can actually anchor what they learned or what they worked on, and give them some tasks to work in between sessions. That if that's what you mean, because I thought with the automatization you also mean like the check in afterwards, and there are so many other possibilities on what you can do, because that's what a lot of coaches are also struggling with, is like the ongoing check-in with the client after the session, and how to actually get him back into a new session, or like offering him some extras that he might need to actually solve the situation that he came into the coaching in the first place.
Yeah, and helping them also to stay accountable of what they did, I guess.
Yes, the accountability automatization. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, if you are a coach who has certain things that are standard, check out Evoach, and also to help extra support in between sessions. Sounds great, Rebecca. And I guess the final question we have would be, you already went a little bit on this, but I guess if you have any additional information of what coaches should be reading about the topic, or what you recommend, your favorite book in the topic related to AI, and then I guess also what you read for fun besides the pronouns.
What I read for fun is The Secret Life of Pronouns at the moment. But no, yeah, I love all kinds of like books in that direction. But it's really difficult to recommend an AI book to coaches because they're really all in depth. So there is one in German, but I need to look up if there's also an English version. It's about an algorithm does not have any feeling of tact. Yeah. So, and that's actually a really good introduction, or like giving you a good idea on how AI works and what the advantages and disadvantages are, and the problems in the end. Like when you create an AI, because bias is like one of the biggest issues, not only in coaching but also with AI. So it's got multiple, the problem in the end. But for me, there are not really like that many books. That for me, it's mainly online. I learned a lot also on Coursera or Udemy. They have like great introductory courses on AI that would probably be more suitable for coaches.
Yeah, that sounds like a great start. And then as for fun, besides the pronouns.
For fun? I don't do anything for fun. No. I mean, for me, it is fun to read about all this AI stuff. I have a new book that I really like. It's called Unfog Your Mind.
Ooh.
It's a German author, I think, but I think it also exists already in English. But it's a really cool book on like asking a lot of questions. It's like hands-on, where you can like also fill in things, or it has some tips, but it also has some like little coaching tasks in it. And he is a philosopher, coach, and speaker. And yeah, it was one of my highlights lately. So that's a fun thing that I sometimes like to do, trying out new books like that.
Sounds nice. I'll definitely try that one out. I have a 30-minute commute, so it's always nice to have more books. And then the last question, just to get you to know, so that the audience can get to know you better, is can you tell us about 5 objects that you have around you and why they're relevant?
Yeah, people always laugh at me because I'm all into tech and everything like I do sometimes in the office. It's just like I come up with these like crazy ideas, and my CTO is just usually looking at me like, oh God, not another one of those. But I always have Post-its around me. And I'm only writing with a black pen. So if I don't have a black pen and Post-its around me, I'm usually screwed. There's always a cup with English breakfast tea, in close by somewhere. And 5 items. That's going to be difficult. My AirPods are always there. Yeah, and I need a highlighter.
Nice.
For my notes, because then I write down something and I scribble, and I'm like, oh, I need to highlight it. So yeah, I work like digital and on paper parallel usually. Yeah.
One that the audience can't see is you have some beautiful mountains behind you.
Oh yeah, they motivate me. I love climbing and mountaineering, so that's my motivation kick. I always need the mountains in the background. Yeah.
Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to that podcast in English, which I'm holding you to it.
That's fine. That's fine. And now I'm motivated to actually do it because we weren't sure if we should first record it in English or in German. But because we have a big German audience, we started with the German version first.
So, Rebecca, before you leave, where can our listeners learn more?
They can, of course, always follow us on LinkedIn. We have a fan page or where they can follow on LinkedIn on the news, but also on our website, which is www.evoach.me or .com. Yeah, you can actually reach it through both.
Perfect. And how can your listeners connect with you?
On LinkedIn is usually the best to connect. There is this German version, the Xing, but we're not on there really that much anymore. But LinkedIn is always a good way to connect with me.
And you did mention a bit about this dreaming world where we get to dream about everything we want. But where do you see the future of AI going in coaching?
Like I said or mentioned before, I think if people would start looking at Wiser or Whoopbot, I think this is an approach that we have to consider that will also is a path where coaching will go. Because your little coach chatbot, AI companion that will help you with the first little steps and then forward you to a coach that can support you further. I think that's one of the paths that it will definitely go, and also supporting us in looking a lot behind, so what's behind the coaching with the client, or are there any beliefs or needs that it can help identify in the text and voice recordings of the user, and really support him with finding his coaching topics and identifying emotions and needs in the background.
Sounds amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today and talking to us about AI and Evoach and technology in general. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
So thank you for listening to another episode by the Association for Coaching. I have been Claudia Day. Our purpose is to help coaches in the process of navigating the new technologies that are arising in this field. If you would like to find out more, please follow us on LinkedIn or explore our webpage at theassociationforcoaching.com. There you can keep up to date with our latest episodes and conversations, as well as our digital learning calendar.